Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
I think, is there any light here? Any more lights in this side?
It's nothing. Logging is that's only. That's
Yes, 5G.
M is capital.
No.
Small.
All small. Okay, back. I think you have Prabhu back. Krishna, Bhavantuda.
Hare Krishna. So we continue our discussion. Hare Krishna. Oops.
Yes.
Can you hear me behind?
Yes.
So we continue our discussion on the Gopi Gita. And yesterday we discussed about how the gopis are remembering Krishna when he is going out to the forest and when he is coming back from the forest. And that same theme of remembrance is continued on here. So let us look at the verses. So yesterday we discussed two verses. The first was about the gopis longing for Krishna's return, and then they're talking about his lotus feet. That you please, then we talk about the desire rising in the heart of the gopis, and they say, Krishna, you please offer your lotus feet by which the desire will be removed. So they continue that theme. They move from the lotus feet of Krishna to meditating on the flute of Krishna. So Surat Vardhanam. Now, Surat, this word had come earlier. Suratanathate. So Ratha is love, Surata is well directed love. So Suratanath, the god of divine love or good love. Suratanathate. That was earlier. So here it is. Suratavardhanam. Suratavardhanam is that it increases the feeling of love. Shokanashanam. Shokanashanam means it destroys distress. Swarita Venuna Shushtu Chumbitam. Swarita Venuna, that they're meditating on the Swarita Venuna, that's a beautiful melodious flute. Shushtu Chumbitam, that is, that they visualize this, the flute gets regularly kissed by Krishna's lotus lips. And Itara Ragavi Smaranam Runam, that the taste of Krishna's lips makes one forget everything else. This theme that anything connected with Krishna makes one forget everything else. This will come at the end of the Bhagavatam also, the last verses. Yat rasamritruptasya na anyatra rati syad kvachit. When one gets this rasa, then no other rasa will allure a person. Vitarviranas te dharamritam. So Krishna, please come and bestow upon us that nectar of your lips. That is the prayer over here. You can sing this.
Suratavardhanam Shokanashanam Svarita Venuna Sushtu Chumbitam Suratavardhanam Shokanashanam Svarita Venuna Sushtu Chumbitam Itara Ragave Smaranam Pranam Vitara Viranaste Dharamritam इतरराघवे स्मारणं नृणाम् वितरवीरनासेदरामृतम् सुरतवर्धनं शोकनाशनम् स्वरितवेणुना सुष्ठुचुम्बितम् इतरराघवे स्मारणं नृणाम् वितरवीरनास्तेधरामृतम्
Is their love for Krishna is completely transcendental. And at the same time, when we say the word transcendental, what does that mean exactly? What do you think transcendental means? Anyone?
Beyond-
time and space.
Beyond material calculations.
Beyond time and space.
Okay, let's start one answer.
Beyond time and space.
Okay, beyond time and space, then beyond three modes. Okay, then spiritual. Okay, is transcendental synonymous spiritual? Maybe let's let's put it beyond material. Is that right?
Yeah, beyond material.
Beyond material. Hmm. So, anything else? Okay, so now we often pure,
and supreme.
pure and
Supreme consciousness.
supreme consciousness. Okay, their love is okay. Their consciousness is pure. I say. What do you mean by supreme consciousness? Only Krishna's consciousness is supreme, isn't it? Or we could say the highest level of consciousness. You could say. Is Krishna consciousness supreme consciousness? I never heard the word used like that. It's consciousness of the supreme. Can we say it's supreme consciousness? You can say it's the highest level of consciousness. So pure, so highest level of consciousness. Okay. So yes, definitely all these things are true. Now, one of the things about bhakti we discussed in the previous session that how there is material desire or material emotion, then there is a state of desirelessness, and we discussed how, and then there is spiritual desire and spiritual emotion. So now okay, what exactly I'm trying to do?
So there is, we can't see you in the camera at all because of the
Okay.
glare. Trying to create some light here.
Okay.
Is there extension for?
That's it.
Sorry, just 1 minute.
It look a little odd, but I have this in case you want to put a phone camera.
It will glare on you a lot. The light.
This will not.
Just trying to see.
Okay. Just one. Maybe you could put the pointer camera. This is a stand.
Thanks.
You can put
Yeah,
this on there.
I think this is, let me see. As close as I can.
Be careful with the altar.
It's okay, bro. Let's go ahead.
Yeah. Is this better? Somewhere.
He's the lighting is there. And lighting will be behind his.
The lighting behind me should not be there. Opening that won't help.
Yeah.
One option could be better. Is the light here?
There is no option.
Okay, what about this way now? Is it better?
Yeah.
Somewhere here.
Let me.
Video recording.
Multiple
Glaring on you. That's what I'm worried. Like glaring on you all the time.
Yeah, that's the challenge. For me, it's not an issue. Is it coming as a big reflection in the phone?
Yeah.
What about now?
But you can't just see the looks better. Here it is.
Come in. Bro, you come this way.
Right, what I'm doing?
From here it's changing the camera position. That's
I'm gonna sit this side. No, it's
just check.
yeah, better. Better. Yeah. Keep some books and lift the projector. Don't need this.
Oh,
Oh, you have to keep it. You have to keep it. With that only. It's fine.
project also went off. Is it okay now?
Yes. Better than. Sorry about it.
You remember it? Okay. It'll take some. Actually, you can continue. I don't need to project. So, yours is on.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about the state of desires, that from the state of material desires or worldly desires, we go to at the Brahman, there is no desire. At the spiritual level, there is desire. So now, similarly, we discussed earlier about how there are emotions. How we talked about peace is there, but then anxiety for Krishna is higher than peace. So there are, in the spiritual domain, there are desires and emotions. And now if there are desires and emotions, then there have to be objects for what do we feel desire for? What do we feel emotion about? There have to be objects. And that's how the spiritual world is filled with forms. We have Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Lila. So now each of these, it triggers emotions, it triggers desires. When Yashodama hears the name of Krishna, Govinda, Gopala, that triggers emotion, that triggers desires. Now I'm using the emotions and desires interchangeably. There's a technical difference, which is not always observed in the use of these words. Generally, emotions are inflowing. Emotions are the result of information flowing into us. Hey, I like this. I don't like this. That means we observe something, and emotions are more of a reaction inside us. And desire, when something is happening outside, what happens to us inside? That is expressed through emotions. Desires are associated with causing some change in the outer world. So I desire this. That means, okay, I'll go and buy this. I'll go and tell that person to stop talking. Do like this, do like that. So they are very much related. But primarily, desires are triggered by what comes in, emotions are triggered by what comes in through the Jnanendriyas. And desires generally trigger our Karmendriyas. That's a small difference. So whatever comes in, that activates emotions within us. And when emotions, they grow further, they become desires. When desires become activated, then they activate our Karmendriyas. So, but the point is, whether it is emotions or desires, both are present in the spiritual domain. And when they are present in the spiritual domain, then we just consider this to be the self. then something comes in through the Jnanendriyas. When it comes in, what happens first is emotions. And within, oh no, what happened here? Hare Krishna is discharged.
No, battery is full. Can you give me that
Krishna,
that
Hare
one?
Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
It's gone.
Hare Hare.
Batteries. 3 batteries.
Covering, okay.
Suddenly it's gone. So surprising.
Extra batteries పెట్టాను నిన్న.
ఎక్కడ పెట్టండి?
అదే.
Yes, Mataji, maybe you can sing till then.
Sorry. Suddenly it's going in. No,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is it better?
increase the volume.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is it coming? I don't think so.
He's coming.
Just keep the mouth set little.
Hare Krishna. Okay, now it is it. So when it comes inside us, first it's emotion, then it grows into desire, and then desire is our karmendriyas. But the point is, for all this to happen, there have to be some objects in the outside world. So the fact that there are objects is associated with Nama Rupa Guna. There, Nam is an object which goes to our Shravanendriya, to our Shrotra. Then Guna, Rupa, Guna, different Gunas will go to different things. Rupa primarily comes to our eyes. So the Bhakti, while it is spiritual, no doubt, and all the emotions and desires and the love therein, that is there, it's at the same time, it is embodied spirituality. Embodied spirituality means that in the spiritual world there are forms. And in the sense that there are bodies. Now, of course, in the spiritual world, the soul and the body are the same. So, in one sense, you could say the body is spiritual. So, in that sense, there is no difference between the soul and the body in the spiritual domain. But at the same time, it is a fact that there are bodies. So, Krishna has a form, Yashodamai has a form, and Yashodamai offers food to Krishna. So, Krishna has a mouth, and she offers the food to Krishna, and Krishna takes the food. Now, we could say that in the spiritual world, everything is eternal. So does the food eternally stay in Krishna's belly? Or does the food change its form? When they cook, does the food change its form? There are raw materials, and the raw materials you make it into food. So the point is that yes, everything in the spiritual world is eternal. But the supreme principle of spiritual world is that everything is meant to enhance the reciprocation of love between Krishna and his devotees. Everything over there. So whatever is required for enhancing that rasa of love, rasa of emotions, that is present. So therefore, in the spiritual world, we have Krishna sometimes feeling afraid of Mother Yashoda. And Krishna is God. How can he be afraid? That's what Kunti Maharaj says, Veera Piyati. So there is, in the presence of God, all fear goes away. Vajahure mana shinandanandana abhaya charana. But then we have the one who drives away fear is filled with fear. Isn't it? How can he be filled with it? Vaktram niniya bhaya bhavanaya sitasya. And Kunti Maharaj expresses Satanka netra damodara. So the point is, that's not mundane fear. if that fear is required for the reciprocation of love between Krishna and his devotees, then that fear comes in. We say there is no vyadhi, there is no disease in the spiritual world. But there is a famous pastime where Krishna gets a headache. How can Krishna get a headache? Well, Krishna can't get a headache till he wants to get a headache. That means for us, headache comes unwanted. Unless somebody wants an excuse to not go to work or not do something. But generally, for Krishna, the headache is simply a way for his devotees to express love and their service to him. So the point is, in the spiritual world, we could say at one level, everything is eternal, everything is, as you use the word, transcendental. That is true. But what is even more important is that everything is meant for love, for the reciprocation of love. And whatever is required for the enhancement of love, that is there. That's why Krishna, fundamentally, Krishna is God, but he doesn't appear like God. Krishna acts like a small child. Why are we discussing all this in this verse? That many of these points, all of you know, I'm giving this as a background. That for us, when we talk about love in this world, say we consider say a mother's love for mother and child love, that to be pure. Prabhupada said that is the closest we get to selfless love in this world. But when we talk about say the love between a man and a woman, that immediately we call that as lust, and we say that is impure. While there is some truth to that analysis, it's also true that it is Krishna who has arranged through this mechanism by which new life comes into this world. And Krishna himself is dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshika. So, is it that one form of love is completely pure, another form of love is completely impure in this world? Well, rather than thinking of it in that way, when it comes now, what we understand is that in the spiritual world, there are various ways in which love is reciprocated. And whatever happens in this world is a reflection of that. Now, the key point is rather than considering, say, we say this love is pure and this love is impure. Now, we may say, what is the difference? Both are forms of affection between two people. But the pure and the impure, it is considered like that because of the level of forgetfulness. Consider the mother cares for her child. And in that attraction, there is, the mother is completely absorbed thinking of the child. But then generally within that, the mother is taking care of the child. There is, I have to pray to God, may God keep the child safe. And generally, the chance of remembrance, so forgetfulness is less over here, but forgetfulness is much more over here. And there is a attraction between the male and the female. It's not again necessary, but it is, the chance is much more. The chance of a person getting physically infatuated with each other, and then the physical side of the affection making one completely forget anything higher, that the chance is more. Now it is not always there. Generally any relationship to be mature, it gradually grows beyond the physical side. The physical side might be there, but it grows beyond the physical side. And people care for each other. Say if somebody falls sick, then the other person is there to take care. So that relationship grows beyond the physical side, but the physical side is often a very significant part of the relationship. And so it's rather than consider, because the word pure and impure has a lot of meanings to it. Now, when it is within the boundaries of dharma, it is not impure in that sense. Certainly, outside the boundaries of dharma, outside of marriage, definitely it is. But the point is that we approach the relationships and the love expressed in these relationships with certain filters. Now, in most traditions, this male-female affection is considered to be a very private thing that is not to be publicly exhibited. And now modern culture or postmodern culture is somewhat different. So when we consider one love to be pure, another love to be somewhat impure, it is rather than thinking of it in terms of purity and impurity, it's more in terms of the potential for forgetfulness. That is much, much more. And there are so many other things in it. A mother, when she has love for a child, the chance that she'll fall madly in love with someone else's child and then forget her duty is much lesser. But in the male-female attraction, that attraction can go very easily beyond the boundaries of dharma also. So the potential for that form of affection to take a person away from God is much, much greater. However, that does not mean that that form of affection itself is impure. So there are two different things. One is the expression of affection, and the other is the potential for that expression of affection to escalate and take one away from Krishna and take one away even from morality in this world. Now, in the spiritual domain, whatever is the form of expression of affection in this world, that is there in the spiritual world also. What that means is, say, when we read verses about how Mother Yashoda, she's filled with love for Krishna, and as soon as she sees Krishna, then when we hear that, as soon as she sees Krishna, breasts start overflowing with milk, and then she comes and Krishna drinks milk from her. She feels Krishna in various ways. But that it just we see that as an expression of affection. But when we read verses like this, where there's a reference to kissing between gopis and Krishna, the previous verse talk about putting your feet on the bosom, then immediately inside us there can what is going on over here? It starts seeming very mundane to us. So now the fact is that in the spiritual world, again, this is gone.
Can you give me the, just give me, sorry. This is, I don't know what's wrong. Batteries are just going away one by one. I don't know.
Technology is telling me whether I should not speak on this topic maybe.
No, you can keep that. Don't remove that. Just give me this part. Just give me this part. Keep it back. These are dead batteries. Are they new batteries? Mobile.
You can continue singing.
There are new batteries here.
You can continue singing.
It's all. It's amazing. Found it.
I appreciate your devotional speculation. So basically, whatever is in the material world, it is present now. Okay, I have to qualify this statement that whatever is foundational in the material world, whatever is central in the material world, is there in its pure form in the spiritual world. That does not mean that every single thing that is there in the material world is there in the spiritual world. So, because the material world is a reflection. Now we could say the reflection, what is there has to be there in the original. not necessarily in the reflection. There can be distortions also. See, the material world is considered to be like the example is the upside down lake. Upside down tree. So in the water, the tree is being reflected. Now, if the water starts moving, then we may see shapes in the reflection that may not be there in the original also. So there are many things in the material world that are not there in the spiritual world. So it's not that everything in the material world, in all its details. Say for example, there is crime in the material world. Now we may say Krishna steals butter, but that is not crime. To call it crime is a crime. it's a pure expression of affection. But it is done in a particular way to trigger particular emotions in the spiritual domain. So like that, there are many things in this material world which have no place in the spiritual world. Say for example, the male-female attraction is there in this world. But that gets distorted. Sometimes there's male-male attraction, there is female-female attraction. Now, at a physical level, that is not there in the spiritual world. That is because of certain karma and all those things happening in this world. So those are distorted reflections. So, but whatever is originally, foundationally there in this world, it has its original and pure expression in the spiritual world. Now, exactly what is the distortion here and what is the original there, that's the details, and we won't go into that. But I'm talking about the principle. The principle is that from Krishna's perspective, from the devotee's perspective, it is simply the reciprocation of love. When Krishna is say, embracing Hanuman and when Krishna is embracing Radharani, it is simply a reciprocation of affection. Now, of course, that reciprocation of affection happens according to the particular rasa. So, according to the particular rasa means that, say, Mother Yashoda as a mother, she kisses Krishna on his cheeks. Now, the gopis and Madhurya Rasa, their expression of affection may have particular forms that are specific only to that relationship. But at its essence, see that in the material world, we go from the form to the essence. Form to the essence means we will go from the body to the soul. In the spiritual world also there is, at one level, form and the essence. The essential principle is the reciprocation of love. The specific expression of the reciprocation of love will depend on the particular mood of the relationship. I was giving a class on Damodar Lila to a Western audience in America, and there was one Western woman. She came in, she sat down, she heard me talking, and I could see she was very agitated. So I asked her, "Is anything wrong?" She said, I can't believe what I'm hearing." You really say, "What happened?" Did you say that there is, are you talking about? And she's completely, I don't know how she came for the program also. But anyway, she says, "Are you talking about somebody tying up a child?" Okay, what's your concern? That's child abuse. The Damodar Lila is the furthest away from child abuse. But based on the cultural filter that somebody has, now for that you can see, somebody tying a child, you're putting that on your altar, what? So,
How do you handle such
Untie.
it's difficult. So I basically explain that. I talked about how there are expressions of love expressions of love and loving relationships. They are cultural specific. So if you consider corporeal punishment, California is one of the most liberal states in the West. But I think till maybe 1996 or 98, corporeal punishment was quite legal over there. It was considered constant standard. Corporal punishment is parents beating their children.
Hmm.
Now, in today's world, that's considered unacceptable. Prabhupada also said that in Gurukul, children should not be beaten. But now, is beating good? Of course not. But is it criminal? Well, recently it has been considered criminal. Hmm. So in the past, there were certain forms of expression of love, and within that, there are certain forms of disciplining that we may consider, that we by our standards consider unacceptable. And we as a society are by no means recommending the parents do this to the children. That's why we cannot look at it. So that's the first point I explained, that the culture is different at different places. We cannot judge everything in the past from our cultural pedestal today, from our cultural viewpoint. And second is, whenever we look at a relationship and what is happening in the relationship, we cannot see things in isolation. We can't just look at one thing. We have to look at the whole relationship. And within that relationship, what does this mean? So Mother Yashoda, she is ready to give her life 100 times, 1,000,000 times over for Krishna's sake. So that is the extent of her love for Krishna. But within that love, in this particular incident, there is disciplining. And then there are practical points also about this, that say in the past, now Krishna was living in a pastoral place. In the past, many places, many homes didn't even have doors. Kids, that door inside and outside were not so well differentiated. So kids could just run here and there. They could go to forest. There could be jungle. There could be animals. There could be so many dangers. So there had to be disciplining, and certain forms of disciplining were there at that time to protect children from danger. So mm, it's an elaborate subject. It's not easy to explain, but over a period of time, if we talk about the cultural context, it becomes a little intelligent. But this is a good example of how something might strike, something is just a pure expression of affection, and that strikes someone as objectionable. So like that, similarly for us, the male-female attraction that is there in the spiritual world between Krishna and the gopis, it's actually a pure expression of love. But for us, it may raise some red flags. And if we just understand this point that Krishna and the gopis, they are simply reciprocating pure love with each other, then we can put those red flags aside. Many of you may have heard the story of the horse. Once the horse was in a barn, and the barn caught fire. And the horse was neighing violently, and it was tired, it couldn't come out. And there's nobody, the owner was not there in the vicinity. The entire barn was burning, the fire was right next to the horse, and the owner came back at that time. And in the nick of time, pulled the horse out, and the horse survived. Now, after that, then the barn was rebuilt, and then the horse was put over there. And the horse started neighing violently over there. And they couldn't figure out what's the matter. There's no danger. Why is the horse neighing so violently? Then they called a collier, a horse whisperer. Those were horse experts. And then they asked what had happened. So then they said that actually, when they had rebuilt the barn, they had repainted the barn with a mix of red and yellow colors. And seeing those colors reminded the horse of the fire. That's why the horse started neighing violently. It became extremely restless. So what had happened was, there had been fire earlier. There is no fire now. But this sight, what is it doing? It is reminding the horse of the fire. And that's why the horse is getting agitated. And this is why, if you consider, say, this is the real tree. Well, my art is really bad. This is the real reality. And say this is the reflection. So now, if somebody is watching from here, they can see the reality, they can see the reflection also. Now, what happens is the ideals. Let's look at various possibilities over here. That what happens that ideally for a person, so the vision, the best situation is that the first there is clear differentiation. Differentiation means that the person understands this is the reality, this is the reflection. Hmm? There is, okay, this is what is eternal, this is what is pure, this is what is selfish, this is what is impure. So differentiation that reality is greater than the reflection. Hmm? And then after that, what should happen is redirection. Redirection means the reflection reminds us of the reality. In Rupa Goswami's compositions, there is a prayer that Yuvatinam yatha yuna yutim yatha manoviramate tatra manoviramate yatra manoviramatam tvai. That just as a young boy is attracted towards a young girl is attracted towards a young boy, my dear heart, Lord, let my heart be attracted towards you. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song also there's like, just as my mind is presently attracted towards sense objects, let my mind become attracted towards you. So here what is happening is that the attraction in this world, the male female attraction is very powerful. That's acknowledged. But once the person is convinced, this is the reflection, that is the reality. But when we see the power of the reflection, we are reminded of the reality. And then we are attracted towards the reality. This is the ideal situation. But there are various non-ideal scenarios. But this come to this level, a lot is required. First of all, there has to be philosophical conviction that there is a categorical difference. This is material, this is spiritual, this is self-centered, that is selfless. So this differentiation comes from philosophical conviction. And this redirection, there is some level of purification required for this. Then, whenever I see the reflection, rather than just getting caught in the reflection, I will know that is the reality. Let me become attracted towards the reality. But there are many non-ideal scenarios. One might be the reality is seen as equal to the reflection. There are nowadays among young people, somehow for various reasons, going to the temple has become cool. Many young people, sometimes boys and girls, they may be boyfriend, girlfriend, they still come to the temple. And it's nice, they come to the, I don't know if it's happened in Hyderabad, but I've seen Mumbai and so many other places. So many young people are coming. It happens. So many places. It's become very cool going to the temple. So boys and girls go to the temple together. And I was talking with one, and both of them were boy and girl were very. They were dressed in very contemporary fashion. Let's put it politely. So, so anyway, I was just happened to be in the temple, and they asked some questions. Then they started talking. I talked a little bit philosophy. Then I asked them a question. He said, what attracts you to come to the temple? He says, they are a couple there, we are a couple here. What's up? So, the boy said, it's cool, in the temples, and there are always couples. Somehow or other, people are coming to Krishna. It's good. But, so the point is that one may not understand the difference between reality and reflection. That one may start thinking that, okay, the law between the divine couple is just the same as the law between couples over here. Well, yes, in one sense. Ultimately, all love is a reflection, which is like a small drop that is an ocean. And this drop, it can take us toward the ocean, it can take us away from the ocean. So it depends. So this is one scenario where one thinks the reality and the reflection to be equal. But what is even worse is that reality reminds one of the reflection. Hmm? That is very damaging. That means that one hears about these descriptions, say, one maybe sees some enactment of the Ras Leela, or one hears about the Ras Leela pastime. We read such verses like these, and then by that, our mundane desires are triggered. Hmm? That is especially damaging. And the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavatam itself, after every pastime, there is a Falashruti. There is a fruit of hearing that is described. And often it's quite extravagant fruits. One who hears this will be freed from all sinful reactions. One who hears this pastime will never take birth again. One who hears this pastime will never be caught in the clutches of Yamaraj. And things like that are there. Now, the Ras Leela is the topmost pastime. And at the end of it, the Falashruti comes. And what is the Falashruti? It's actually remarkable.
Yeah.
Vikriditam Rajavadviridam Javishno Shraddhanito Anushunayadata Varanayeya. There's Vikriditam. Now, there are many extraordinary things about this verse. Let me see if I can find it. Vikriditam Rajavadubir Idam Javishno. So it's interesting in the entire pastime of Ras Leela, the word Vishnu is practically never used. It's all Krishna, Govinda, Raman, and all these words are used. But at the end, we have Vishnu. Vikriditam Rajavadubir Idam Cha Vishnu. Shraddhanvito Anushranayad Atha Varanayedya. Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Patilabhya Kamam. Rudrogamashvapahinotya Chirena Dhiraha. So this is the last 39th verse. This is 10, 33, 39. So, Vikriditam, it is a play. But a play of Vishnu. The Vishnu is generally God in the mood of Aishwarya. So why Vishnu is used over here? It is to remind us that don't think of this as ordinary. Don't think of it as mundane. This is the Supreme Lord over here. Shraddhanvito Anushranaya Datavaranayetya. If faithfully Anushranaya, Prabhupada elaborates on this word systematically in Parampara we hear from those who have faith. Anushranaya Datavaranayetya. Two things will happen. Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Patilabhya Kamam. By this, bhakti for Krishna will increase in our heart. And the second result is Kama, which is the Rudro, the heart disease that we have, Kama. That is apahino, attraction to the reflection. So normally, if people watch some romantic or erotic movies, their mundane desires don't decrease. But the Bhagavatam is saying by hearing this, your desires will decrease. How will that happen? That will happen because if we hear this with the understanding that this is actually pure spiritual love, this is the reality. Then once we are understanding how enchanting the reality is, then our attraction toward the reflection will decrease. So the attraction toward the reflection is calm, and that will decrease. So this, will it always happen to everyone? Not necessarily. If somebody is not Shraddhanvito, if somebody is not Anushranaya, somebody doesn't have faith, this is a pastime. Somebody doesn't have the accessibility to tradition by which they hear and understand, then what will happen? They will start thinking, this is mundane. And if they think it is mundane, then their mundane desires will increase. So that's why Prabhupada did this combination of when we talk about Ras Leela. Ras Leela, Prabhupada both emphasized that it is confidential, but at the same time he also made it accessible. Confidential, especially he disapproved if there were Bhagavad Saptas only on Ras Leela all the time. Like now here, what we are doing is we are having this discussion, Lilananda ensured it is only for 16 onwards. So at least some level of spiritual understanding is there, some level of spiritual purification is there. Mm. So there is a confidentiality to it. But at the same time, so Prabhupada is approved of somebody doing Bhagavad Saptas on, especially the 10th canto alone, and especially in the Ras Panchadhyaya alone. But at the same time, Prabhupada also gave Krishna book. And in Krishna book, these pastimes are described. So he also gave it accessible. So now when Prabhupada was asked about these pastimes, he said that if you hear these pastimes and you get agitated, then don't hear it. That means you're not yet ready for it. But what Srila Prabhupada did was, when he told his pastimes, he gave philosophical context. He gave some clarity about what is happening. And once we have that conviction, this is the reality, this is the reflection, then what will happen is, we will be directed from the reflection toward the reality. And that's how, and that's the purpose of this. So if we feel a little disturbed by all this, so I talk about this disturbance at 3 levels. First is I said that it is why we might feel disturbed and how do we deal with the disturbance. Disturbed, it is because of you could say misassociation of memories. Let me give you the example for horse. The horse mistakes the barn, which is not on fire, to be fire, the barn's color to be the fire. So similarly, what we do is we mistake the Radha Krishna's pastimes. So the barn's color, it is mistaken to be fire. So similarly, the Krishna Gopi interactions, they are mistaken to be mundane, they are mistaken to be lust or expressions of lust primarily. So if this is happening, then what is to be done? So with that horse, they decided that you just can't keep the horse over there. It's still too traumatized. You have to take it to a separate barn. Now, after some time, if that barn is next to this barn and the horse comes over here and says, hey, there is this fire, it looks like fire, but there's no heat coming over here. Maybe this is not fire. Then slowly that horse enters into that barn and it realizes that, hey, there's nothing wrong over here. So we will find, say if we didn't know the Gopi Gita at all, and we just heard this being sung, it's actually so sweet, it is so uplifting. It is, and even a mundane person hearing this can actually feel the sanctity of it. There's something sacred, there's something special, something divine about this song. So, for us, if this mistake is happening, then we have to be careful. If our mind is mistaking it, then we have to be careful, keep a distance from it. So, we have been discussing this Gopi Gita pastime. And now, there are a lot of literature in our tradition which talk about Krishna's ultimate pastime with the gopis. Should we immediately start reading them? Maybe not. Maybe wait for a few years. Get purified. But in association of devotees, proper context, we can hear this. So the whole point we're discussing today is that for us, we need to have this differentiation. Differentiation between philosophers, reflection and reality, and then the reflection reminds us of reality, not that the reality reminds us of the reflection. If these two are happening, then the description of the intimate pastimes of Krishna can also deepen our devotion in a very powerful way. So, this is the best situation. This is unhealthy and this is extremely unhealthy. Equating reality with reflection and letting the reality remind us of the reflection. That we don't want. So, since this is an important topic, I mean, tomorrow is the last day, but are there any questions about this at this point?
Yeah. Prabhu, once I had read Prabhupada saying there is no sex in act of sex, Vaikuntha. There's a quote of Prabhupada, and sometimes, some others also told this only belongs to the material world. I am able to understand the context in which you're explaining, but is it that it doesn't even exist in the spiritual world, male and female union?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer this question because I've talked to senior devotees and it's a very confidential subject.
Okay.
So, yes, Prabhupada's quote is there, no doubt about that. Having said that, there are many pastimes of the previous acharyas which have not pastimes of the previous acharyas. There are many books of the previous acharyas in which there are certain descriptions which are difficult to reconcile with Prabhupada's statement given over there. But what we can say is that, see, the very word sex,
Yeah.
that triggers certain, not just like a physical imagination, but also a particular conception is associated with that.
Yeah.
Basically, generally speaking, whenever there is sexual desire rising, there is almost always the objectification of the other person. That other person is reduced to a body and that body is reduced to a tool for one's gratification. So now can there be physical union without such objectification? That's very difficult for us to imagine. So the key point is that in the spiritual world there is complete selflessness.
Yeah.
In the material world there is selfishness. So if you see the difference between Kama and Prema that Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about, there is the difference is Atmendriya Priti Ichha Tare Bole Kam, Krishnendriya Priti Ichha Dhare Prema Naam. So the desire to satisfy one's senses is lust, and the longing to satisfy Krishna's senses is love.
Is love.
Now, it is not just desire to satisfy Krishna, it is desire to satisfy Krishna's senses. So, as I said, in the spiritual world, it's embodied spirituality. So, Mother Yashoda doesn't just love Krishna, she feeds Krishna. So, Krishna's tongue, in Radharani also, we go to Nandagaon, there's Pavan Sarovar, where she cooks for Krishna. And delicious food items are cooked. So, now, exactly what are the details? That is, it's best we don't discuss about that at this point. So, my understanding is that that whatever exists in the spiritual world is completely pure. And if we are not at the requisite level of purity, going into certain details may even unintentionally lead to the reality reminding us of the reflection, rather than the reflection reminding us of the reality. So if you see the Bhagavatam, see even in male-female interaction, there are various levels, or rather not interaction, you could say depiction that is there in literature. So there is, for example, there is romantic, and the overall, the tone of the Gopi Gita is romantic. There is some reference to physical forms of affection, but it's mostly romantic. Now beyond that, there is erotic, where there's a little more expression, or you could little more, much more expression of physicality. So the Gita Govinda goes to this level, and that's why one should be very, very careful while reading this. Now beyond that, there is what in the world is called as porn, where there is no conception of relationship, there is just physical interaction. So the whole purpose of that is simply to trigger desires in people. Now, many times people ask that sometimes in the temples in India, there are some depictions where those are not. Sometimes people say they fall in this porn category. They're not porn. They are either romantic or erotic, and they're describing the Swarga Loka, where the Apsara's facilities are available. So the idea is the temple is the sanctum sanctorum, it's Vaikuntha. And to go to Vaikuntha, one has to go through Swarga. One should not get distracted by Swarga. So my point is that not everything is meant, not every description is meant to trigger sexual desire. Although it may end up leading to that. So when in art or literature there is a description of, say, masculine strength and masculine beauty, or feminine beauty, feminine charms, now that could be a part of the narrative. And now, but reading that might trigger desires. So generally speaking, the tone here is romantic. It doesn't go beyond to erotic. But when we start going into specific details, then then that direction from redirection, mis redirection, you can say. The redirection from substance to shadow can start happening. So it's best not to go into those details at this stage. Okay.
Oh, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Um, the Gopi Gita that you're explaining, it is related to Bhauma Vrindavan, or is it the same when it comes to Goloka Vrindavan? Because a couple of instances, like when you say um, Krishna might fall sick if he doesn't eat properly, that means there is a fear of somebody getting sick or maybe dying also. I don't know, right? Which is not even seen in Goloka Vrindavan, but such emotions are being expressed here. So is it because of is there effect of material temporariness in the Bahuma Vrindavan Leela in a transcendental way? But where is this Gopi Gita belonging to?
Okay. The pastimes of Krishna in the material world are demonstrated. Now, which of those happen in the spiritual world? Which of those don't happen in the spiritual world? Well, Prabhupada asked, are there demons in the spiritual world? There are no demons, there are rumors of demons. So, some fear is created, and then everybody say shelter of Krishna, but there are no demons specifically in the spiritual world. Now, but in the spiritual world, does a Ras Leela happen? Well, now does Krishna get a headache or something like that in the spiritual world? Well, it's not, as I said, it's not an effect of time.
Hmm.
It's not at all an effect of time if it happens in the spiritual world. So whatever is required for the reciprocation of love between Krishna and the gopis, or Krishna and the Vrajavasis in general, that happens. So, but there are no inimical elements outright, like there are no demons over there. Now, but there may be sometimes some people who oppose Krishna. But that's just to enhance the flavor of the love. You know, when I talk about the elephant being opposed, the elephant's strength coming out when it is tied up. So, like that, there is some opposition. And that opposition enhances the flavor of the love.
So this world called Vishnu that you're seeing here, there may not be Vishnu or Narayana in the Goloka because there is no
Well,
conception of that.
as I said, Nanda Maharaj is not a atheist. He is a Vaishnava. In the sense that, is there in the spiritual world, do the people worship anywhere? See, worship is a part of normal life. So, the Brajavasis is not that they, every morning they wake up Krishna and they do Aarti of Krishna. That is not the flavor of their relationship. But does it mean that they wake up and they don't do any puja at all? It's a sacred place. It's not a sacred, it's a pious society. So in that sense, they worship Vishnu over there. But for them, it's almost like the center of their life is Krishna, and Vishnu is a part of their life. You know, Vishnu worships that Krishna is protected.
So the reason I asked is this expansion of Krishna and then Balaram and then Sankarshan and Vishnu, Narayan,
Okay,
Mahavishnu.
so is Vishnu personally present? No, Vishnu worship is present. Vishnu is not present personally in the spiritual world. In the Vrindavan.
Okay.
Vishnu is there in Vaikuntha. But Vishnu is not there personally.
So they know that there is Vaikuntha in Goloka.
Well, it's a good question. Do they know? It's probably at the background of their knowledge, just like Krishna's divinity is in the background.
Okay.
Generally, they don't know. It's that's not what is prominent for them.
Okay.
So it's like in the Brihad Bhagavata Amrita, it described that when the Gopakumar goes to Ayodhya, he said that I'm exploring various abodes. And the Ayodhya say, Ram is the greatest, you should stay here. And when the Ayodhya think Ram is the greatest, at that time Sanatana Goswami doesn't write in bracket, they're actually in Maya. No, there's a transcendental subjectivity over there. The Ayodhya think Ram is the greatest. The Vaikuntha think Vishnu is the greatest. The Dwarka think Dwarka Krishna is the greatest. But this Gop Kumar is never satisfied till he comes to Vrindavan Krishna. So they may be aware, but for them, their Aradhya Dev is the greatest. For the Vrajavasis, Krishna is the greatest.
Generally, we say that other religions, they don't have a specific timelines or a schedule for a god on a daytime what he does, afternoon what he does, night what he does. But in Sanatana Dharma or in Bhagavad Gita or as per our scriptures, there is a clear.
How is it related with this?
No,
Like,
the next
other
question.
religions is a huge
No,
different
yeah.
subject.
My question
You
is.
know, maybe we could do one thing, Prabhu. There are two options because it's already today's time.
Sorry.
So we have to complete the Gopi Gita, and maybe if there's some question answers. When I go, maybe we could do an online class for this group sometime. We can schedule and then we can have question answers. Because I'm sure there will be questions, and it's important that we address the questions. Okay. Once you start opening questions, you will have a lot of. If you don't have a lot of questions, I will have a lot of questions. I'm sure there will be some questions which come up, but we should discuss them. Hmm?
On Gopi Gita. Only one.
Okay. So you have the freedom to ask the question, and I have the freedom to not answer it.
My question is only that you said that the speciality about gopis is that they don't desire anything in return. But the central theme of the Gopi Gita is that
No. Okay, they don't desire anything. Did I say that? I said that there's always desiring, but there's no demanding. Did I say that in one of
but
the?
that they don't want anything in return for whatever they are doing for Krishna.
No. Okay, maybe that's maybe I worded it wrongly or you understood it wrongly. It is that what I mean is that they don't give up their love even if they get nothing in return. It's not that they don't want anything. See, love means reciprocation. See, the gopis are heartbroken when Krishna goes away. Now they go away, well, then later on also when he goes away. That's natural. And see, if the object of our love goes away and we feel nothing, then our love is nothing, isn't it? If the love is there, we should feel something. The gopis are devastated when Krishna goes away. And they want more than life that Krishna should come back. But because Krishna has gone away, they don't say, you reject Krishna. Krishna, you abandoned us, therefore we no longer love you. So in love, there will be naturally the reciprocation and expectation will be there. But okay, let's put it this way. Actually, this is the theme of the next verse. See, where there is love, there will be expectation. That's natural. But this is in one sense unavoidable. But when there is unfulfilled expectation, if that generally leads to love being abandoned, love being given up. Or you could say love dries and dies. Now, why should I love such a person who is not fulfilling my expectations? This is what is normal, or let's put it this way. This is what happens normally. But in the case of the gopis, although there is unfulfilled expression, love not only remains, but it rises. The more Krishna is away, the more is their longing for Krishna. So the greatness of their love is not that they don't have any expectation from Krishna, but the greatness of their love is even when Krishna does exactly the opposite of what they want him to do, still they keep loving him. They don't give up Krishna. Yes, that's why Ashlishyava Pad Karotuva Yatha Tatha Vidadhatu Lampato Mat Prananathas Saivanasana. It's not that. They're talking about in that whole world, there are three possibilities they're talking about. You, Krishna, you embrace us with love, or you trample us underfoot, or you abandon us and you leave us broken-hearted. Even all such cases, Mat Prananathas, you are the Lord of my life. Tu Saiva Na Paraha. Now, so that is the glory of the love. That Mahaprabhu is articulating the love of Radharani and the gopis for Krishna. Okay. So I think we'll recite this verse once and we'll stop here. And tomorrow we'll try to complete all the verses. We discussed a major thing that I had to discuss. And tomorrow we'll discuss one more thing, but we'll try to finish all the verses. And we will have one QA class online. You can see schedule it and then we'll try to complete it. So you want to recite this verse once and then we'll finish.
सुरतवर्धनं शोकनाशनं
सुरतवर्धनं शोकनाशनं
सरितवेणुना सुष्ठुचुम्बितम्
सरितवेणुना सुष्ठुचुम्बितम्
इतररागवे स्मारणं नृणाम्
वितरवीरनास्तेधरामृतम् वितरवीरनास्तेधरामृतम्
What option do we have?
No, today Prabhuji has a class at Infosys.
Okay, what time do we have to leave for
11.
class?
11 is the class.
10:15. Okay. You take one more?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. So maybe the next verse would have been better today because it's the same thing. Okay, we have. Let's do this one fast. Okay, in this particular verse, there are other points also, but let's move forward. So here, Atatiyat Bhavan Ahanikanana. So the gopis are saying, now, in one sense, Kavi Karnapur discussed that many times the gopis are like having a conversation with Krishna in their minds. See, sometimes when we know someone very much, we love someone very much, sometimes we can almost anticipate. If I speak this, this person will speak this. And then maybe I will counter it this way, or I'll respond to it this way. So the Gopi Krishna is saying that, why are Krishna, they anticipate. Krishna is saying, why are you making such a big dwell cry about me going away? Every evening you get my association, you see me. Why do you want, why are you so desperate to see me again? So the Gopis are saying, even when we see you, we can't see you. And what happens is, Atatiyat Bhavan. At the end of the day, Bhavan. So here again, Bhavan is normally considered respectful second person. Tvam is normal second person. Tu or aap. Atatiyat Bhavan Ahanikanana. So Ahani is like when you come back, as it says, the Aharnisha, they said at the end of the day when you come back, Ahanikanana. So for us, when you're going out, Tutti Yugaya Ahanikana, at the start of the day when you go to the forest, we see you initially, but after that, for the gopis, because they have such a personal relationship with Krishna, just remembrance is not enough. For this, not Swam Vismruti. The gopis, they're never Vismruti of Krishna. They're always remembering Krishna, but for them, they don't just want to remember Krishna, they want to see him. Swam Apashyatam. So one moment becomes like a yuga for us. Kutilya kuntale Shri Mukham Jate. So when we see your beautiful face with the locks of hair around it, Shri Mukham Jate, Jada Udikshatam. This is we are not able to see it as much as we would like. Why? Because Jada, the creator, is so foolish. Udikshatam. Pakshmakrutusham. So that they created the eyes with eyelids. And eyelid is a blink. So we are not able to see Krishna. So now, this actually shows the intensity of the love of the gopis. And they say, even then, like our darshan is there, but darshan is interrupted. So even then, we are not satisfied with Krishna. Yes.
Atatiyat Bhavan Ahanikananam
Atatiyat Bhavan Ahanikananam
Yugayate Tvamapashyatam
Yate Tvamapashyatam
Atatiyat Bhavan Ahanikananam
Atatiyat Bhavan Ahanikananam Yugayate Tvamapashyatam Kutilya Kuntalam कुटिलकुन्तलं श्रीमुखं च ते
जडौ दीक्षितां पक्ष्मकृदृशां
जडौ दीक्षतां पक्ष्मकृदृशाम्
जडौ दीक्षितां पक्ष्मकृदृशां
जडौ दीक्षतां पक्ष्मकृदृशाम् अग्निकाननम् दुर्निवार्यते त्वामपश्यताम् कुटिलकुन्तलं श्रीमुखं च ते
जडौ दीक्षितां पक्ष्मकृदृशां
जडौ दीक्षतां पक्ष्मकृदृशाम्
Here, the nature of love is being depicted that when there is love, there is even a small moment of separation becomes utterly unbearable. This was not recently, 7-8 years ago. This cricket World Cup happened recently. Like I think it was some 2011 or something like that. I was traveling in India, and when we came out of the airport, we had to pass by a road, and then on one side was a TV, and there were, like people crowded all around watching. And there's some police who were nearby. They said you cannot be on the road. But they were on one side, and they're watching, and everybody watching. And I was in a wheelchair. I just wanted to go through, and the people were not letting anyone go through. Now in cricket, it's not that every moment there's a high activity. The bowler runs back, the fielder throws the ball, and then there's so much time in between. But the people, they just didn't want to just miss even one moment of action. So when I saw that, I remembered this verse. So one moment, okay, we don't want to miss anything, but still, we can't bear it. So we see sometimes in this world that intense attraction to some extent is there. That it may seem for those who are also not such cricket fans, they might say, mysterious, what is the big deal about it? But for those who are into it, they can't understand how we can't understand. So this is so important. So here, when there is great affection, there is great investment of emotion, then the world itself is experienced differently. So when we look at the world without emotion, okay, a cricket match is going on, what is the big deal about it? But when there is investment of emotion, that thing changes completely, the vision changes completely. So for the gopis, their emotion is invested so much in Krishna that their experience of the world is completely different. Now we all blink our eyes, but most of the times, not most of the time, almost all the time, we don't even notice we are blinking our eyes. Somehow, actually, I never noticed. Sometimes you click a photo and sometimes your eyes are closed because of blinking or whatever, but that's rare. But when I started doing some video recording, and then some people started saying, you're blinking your eyes too much. I said, really? Then I looked at that first time I noticed I blink my eyes also. In the sense that when I'm speaking, I'm so caught in speaking that even the blinking happens. It's designed in such a way that actually it does not interrupt with our functional vision. So blinking happens, but we have the continuity of vision because it's so instantaneous. But when there is great investment of emotion, as I said, the world is seen differently. And it is not only noticed. The Kavi Karnapur says Ananda on Champu, what he does is he doesn't just translate these verses, he elaborates on each of these verses also. So there he says that Gopis are saying that we feel when our eyes blink, our eyelids close, and we are not able to see you for even a fraction of a moment. We feel as if it is the end of the world. Just can't bear that even for a moment. So it's maybe for them it's Krishna, beholding Krishna is such an incessant flow of nectar. Just can't bear it. I was suppose we are eating some food and then maybe there's our favorite delicacy. Maybe we like sweet rice and sweet. You can talk and you can eat. I just want pure devotional service. So I just want to experience the sweet rice. I don't want any distractions, no interruptions at all. So when some experience is extremely sweet, then somebody does like that. What we can understand, this person must really like sweet rice. That's something we easily understand that. So similarly, the very fact that the gopis are thinking like this. There are three things over here. First of all, to notice that our eyes blink when we are functioning, that itself is a big thing. To get upset about that is even bigger. But you must be really upset to criticize Brahmaji. Normally, in any traditional society, we don't criticize our elders.
Yeah.
And Brahmaji is the eldest. He is the first person in the universe. So the gopis, if you consider the gopis' angst is the agony, the distress. The extent of their angst is that even notice eyes blinking, that itself, most of us don't even notice it. But to get agitated by it, that is even more. But we all get agitated, but then we normally control our agitation. But agitated enough to criticize Brahma, and Brahma is not an ordinary person. The in the universe. That just indicates how upset somebody is. So in the olden days we had this Doordarshan, and then what is that? Interruption. What is that? The word was train will come now.
Sorry.
रुकावट के लिए खेद है. So now if we love our program, some love the program, I guess feel like smashing the CD. They feel angry with the organizers. So and like a small interruption, for the gopis is such a huge interruption. That just indicates how much is their love for Krishna. So this is Tvam apashyata. We just want to see you, we want to behold you, Krishna. You want in the past there was this poetic English, behold. Behold actually, behold is basically to see. But it's generally the idea is to see something which is very attractive. Don't say, I want to behold the bus. I want to see when the bus is coming. When we use the word behold, it is used. So like in English there is see, and behold. So in Sanskrit there is pashya and there is darshan. We don't say I want to have darshan of the bus, So darshan is a very reverential word. So now, of course, pashya can use a synonym for it, apashyatam, adarshanam, that can be similar. But behold is a special word. The Prabhupada sometimes just use this word behold. So behold, what the English it means is that we hold something with our eyes. Like if you go to Rameshwaram and we see the sunset, we don't just see the sunset, we behold the sunset. So we hold it with our eyes. So gopis want to hold Krishna with their eyes, drink Krishna's beauty with their eyes. And that's why they just can't hear even one moment of separation. And the gopis, when they are criticizing Brahma for the eyelids. So then I had asked Janivas Prabhu, are there eyelids that blink in the spiritual world? So he said, everywhere you need someone to criticize. So he just answered, he didn't really answer that question. So, but the point is that even that moment, first of all, it shows the extent of their love. It also shows that the gopis are so desperately eager for Krishna. And there are the principle of obstacles in love, that is a part of the spiritual world, which are Parkya Rasa. Now, is the idea that the obstacle there? We don't know what is there in the material world and spiritual world. But the point is that the gopis are very intensely in love for Krishna. And then there's we have so here one more. Now Truti Yuga Yate. At one moment starts feeling like a millennium. So this is I conclude this one point. There is this question always that is there a time in the spiritual world? So now the answer to this question, like many questions, is no and yes, both. So no means that if you see time has, you could say broadly three functions. That is, through the agency of time, creation happens. Through the agency of time, deterioration happens. Maintenance or growth, all reproduction, all that over there. But deterioration happens and then destruction happens. If you see the way Krishna defines time in the Bhagavad Gita is Kalosmi Lokakshay Krut Pravritto. Time I am the destroyer of the worlds. So now you could say time I am the creator of the world also. Time I am the maintainer of the world also. That is also there. Specifically in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, time is manifesting in the form of destruction. So in the spiritual world, time is not there in the sense that we feel time primarily in terms of its deteriorating, its destructive potential. Like generally, even no matter how old a person is, we don't say you look old. You look young. We don't say anything. So the destructive, the deteriorating, and destructive feature daytime nature is different. So day and night are there in the spiritual world. And day allows Krishna to perform certain pastimes, night allows Krishna to perform certain pastimes. So the whole Rasa Leela is happening at night. So the alteration of time that brings about variegatedness, that is there in the spiritual world. Now, there's another aspect of time that the variegatedness, what it leads to? It leads to various leelas and also various moods, various ambiances for those leelas. So all those are created through time, through the variation of time. Now, having said that, now time does not have a controlling feature. So in this material world, time not in this world, it is ultimately controlling. So it's not that say when Krishna is performing Rasa Leela with the gopis, Krishna is actually at a time over now, we have to go back. Krishna can expand one night to be an entire Brahma's night. So in one sense, out of love, when Krishna is not there, the gopis feel that one moment is like a millennium. Whereas Krishna, when they are with the gopis, Krishna can expand one moment to be like a millennium. So in that sense, Krishna does not control time. Sorry, time does not control Krishna, Krishna controls time.
Right.
Now, of course, if Krishna wants to create some excitement and some anticipation, then time may fly and Krishna say, okay, now you have to go back and you have to get back in time, you have to do this, you have to do that. But there is no time pressure in the spiritual world. Now the pressure is there for us, I have to complete this much time by this much time. So that time pressure, no time pressure in the spiritual world. But time is simply there as an enhancement of Krishna Leela, as an enhancer of Krishna Leela. So the gopis are saying, Krishna, your beautiful face, we long to see it. And the next verse, which we'll discuss tomorrow, we talk about how the gopis say that Krishna, we have paid such a price to come to you. And how can you abandon us now? So we'll discuss that and try to discuss the remaining verses in the last session. Please sing this one, or maybe I'll summarize first. So we discussed three main points today. The first point we started with was the first point we discussed is about how the in the spiritual world is actually embodied spirituality. Is embodied relationships, embodied love. There is form over there. So desires, and there are spiritual desires and emotions. They are associated with nama rupa gundila. That means there is the appropriate nama rupa gundila there over there. Now all that is there. So now then we discussed especially about how there is love in this world and there is love in the spiritual world. So now the male female attraction in this world, is it also love? Well, it is, but it is considered impure primarily because of two reasons. It can very easily lead to vismriti, it can very easily lead to adharma. But that is you could say distortion of the love. But like there can be in reflection not just the reality but also distortion of reality. So just as there is mother-child love in the spiritual world, similarly there is the male-female love in the spiritual world. But everything there is pure. So to approach that pure love, so what we need is approach, say, the love between Krishna and gopis. For that, two things we are required. One is we talk about the differentiation, that we understand that the reality is far greater than the reflection. And then what should happen is also the redirection. Redirection means the reflection should point us toward the reality, not the other way around. So the dangers are twofold. We equate the reflection with the reality. And the even greater danger is the reality toward the great caution in approaching these confidential pastimes. And that's why we don't get into too many details of these pastimes wherein we may get misdirected. Our memories of the mundane may be triggered even while hearing the transcendental. And the last point, so all these three was respect to the previous was the last point we discussed about the extent of the gopis' longing is seen in this verse where they are actually, but also they are agitated and they criticize. So notice the blinking of the eyes. So that's their longing for Krishna. Such is their love for Krishna. And within that, we also discuss the point about time is present, but time is not controlled. Time is serving Krishna in the spiritual world. So it could in control, it creates time pressure. But it doesn't control, it doesn't deteriorate, it doesn't destroy. Serving means it just provides variegatedness for Krishna for performing his pastimes. So, thank you very much. Shri Gopi Gita ki jai. Krishna Bhagwan ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Gaura Bhaktivinoda.
Charan Prabhu, 3 loud incidents finished sessions today. Tomorrow is the 9th session. It doesn't feel like it should ever get over, but 10:30, there is a possibility, right? Because we want to ensure that all the verses are over in an appropriate, nice way. That's one thing. And second, today there are 2 corporate programs. One is in Infosys and MSN Labs, right? Now, one of the things I'm just telling you, because again, to meet you is difficult. They keep this mic here. Normally the mics that are given in companies is here. You take this one that Prabhuji has, the same thing, this very cord you can also put in there. Okay? They'll also have the same device. All you have to do is just put this, so it's easier for Prabhuji to, you can off the yeah. So, and another thing,